Today, we're going to be talking about the weapons page on GGs AI and how to use it most effectively. My name is Gertis. I'm one of the co-founders of GGs. It was my algorithm that started this entire project. So I'm going to run you through how everything works so that you just fully understand and grasp how this page is working and how the weapons works and how the algorithm works and all that good stuff, so that you can just absolutely womp on jabronis when you drop into Warzone. Starting off, you can see that there's the list of weapons, see the base weapons and some different ratings here. You have different tiers, you have different play styles you can score by, you have ranges, you got weapon types, you can even sort by different stats. Amazing. So with this, we'll open up all the different tiers. We have tiers meta, A, B, C, D, F, all of them. And we score basically every weapon that we can. There's some limitation to weapons that we can score just because we haven't figured a few things out, such as certain shotguns, certain pistols, fringe weapons that aren't really getting used anyways. And then we have this playstyle filter, which this is really great because when you click one of these playstyles, it basically changes the weight on what is most important about the weapon so that it scores differently based on that playstyle. So for example, an aggressive player might care a lot more about sprint to fire time. They're going to care more about the TTK. They're going to care less about the recoil. Where a more tactical player that wants to sit on a roof will care a lot more about bullet velocity. They're going to care more about recoil. A casual player is going to really care about recoil. You know, they're not really going to care so much about the movement mechanics as much. So when you're trying to figure out, what is the best weapon for me, this is the best place to start. Just start with how you're choosing to score it based on your playstyle, or you can just go with overall, which takes the average of all four of the categories. So that's what we'll do for this example. All right, so we have our different weapons. Click on any of these, it'll drop down. It could take a second. It's processing a lot of information and a lot of data. If you have access to Iridescent and you've signed up, then you're going to be able to see the first build. And if you don't, then it's going to appear locked. The reason that we do that is this is an extremely expensive endeavor. The website costs us just ridiculous amounts of money to maintain and keep up. So, we're trying our best to bring as much value to the community and just asking for, a little bit of that value in return to make sure that we can keep the site just alive is awesome. So that's why we do that. Anyways, you're going to see a couple of the builds. You can even scroll and see some of the lower builds, and you can kind of pick which one is best for you, but you can see the scores and kind of make decisions based on that. Choose to compare. I can either click on the button itself, or I can just click on the weapon. Let's see. So we have the Striker 9. Let's go for a couple more close range weapons to go through this, and let's sort by close range weapons. Let's do WSP 9 and maybe the Striker, and maybe we'll do the MCW Sniper Support build built by your boy. All right, now we're going to come back through. I'm going to close a couple of these tiers to get out of our way. All right, so we have our TTK charts, which are pretty standard. If you've used TGD, then you're probably very familiar with what this is. This is the time to kill over different ranges. And if you have Iridescent, you get access to this dropdown, which is extremely useful because we can switch it over to expected. The expected time to kill has a lot to do with accuracies. It has to do with bullet drop. It has to do with many different factors. Okay, the whole team, we go in and we shoot every single weapon, every single one, and to just feel out the accuracy of it. And after shooting about 100 dummies in the firing range, we take down our accuracies, and we take the average of all of us, and then we apply that to the TTK, and then also we factor in how the bullet slows down, because bullets slow down in Warzone. So if you extend this chart out to 100 meters, you're going to see that taking place over time. So we factor in all those things so that you can get the most accurate possible TTK, and kind of understand how the weapon is better or worse than the other weapons you might choose. Move back to 50 meters. We also have this DPM chart if you care about damage per mag, and then bullet velocity chart so you can see the bullet velocity change over time, over meters. These are probably our best charts. If you are an iridescent member, you get access to these as well. And this is the weighted expected TTK. So what this does is it basically takes our expected time to kill. So it factors in the accuracy, bullet travel time, the velocity slowdown that's happening, takes in all those three things. And then we take a metered range that you're most likely going to get into a gunfight, and it takes the average TTK at every single range, weighing it heavier towards that average range that you will get into a gunfight. So the TTK at 10 meters for an SMG is going to matter a lot more than 20 meters for the SMG. So it's going to weigh way heavier towards that. And if you sift through the different play styles, these play styles actually have different ranges that are important to them. So for a tactical player, I think it's like out to 60 meters for long range and maybe 15 to 20 meters for close range. For an aggressive player, it's going to weigh a lot heavier towards 5 meters for close range and like 30 meters for long range. So that's kind of how these things work. So if we're going to move back to the overall, so you can see overall, the Striker 9 in most situations will have the fastest time to kill. So that's great to go off of. Good to think about. All right, damage output. I love this chart because most people, they see the weighted, so we have a weighted damage per mag, very similar to how the weighted TTK work. So the expected number of downs, what we've done is we've taken the weighted damage per mag, factored in a little bit of extra accuracy. So like, you know, you're going to take a little bit of time. You're going to shoot the downed enemy to, you know, finish them. We factor all these kind of different variables in, and we say, all right, how many downs can you reliably get with this gun before you need to reload? So if you build a gun straight from GGs and you look at the expected number of downs, you can count it out. You can count it out reliably. And if you need to reload or not, you're getting challenged. Do I need to reload? I have 12 bullets. Is it going to be enough? You know the number? You should be fine. We've put in a lot of work to make sure this is as accurate as possible for as many gunfights. Of course, there's going to be fringe situations which will not play out exactly like that, but we've done our best to make sure that this number is right. We have our accuracy, so you can see basically how we shot the weapons and how it felt and our end accuracy. And then we have this hit scan range. So it was recently discovered that basically when you shoot your weapon, because the servers for Call of Duty have these tick rates that happen every 50 milliseconds, that when you shoot the gun, for as long as it's traveling for the first 50 milliseconds, you don't need to lead that shot if they are out that metered range. So if it takes 49 milliseconds for the bullet to travel 30 meters, then out to 30 meters, you don't need to lead that shot because the server is going to tick. It's going to catch up, and all of a sudden you're going to be hitting shots, even though it's saying like the person could have moved a lot further from where you're shooting. You're all of a sudden going to get the hit markers and stuff, even though it's not going to look like it's lining up. But man, that was a poor explanation. But basically what this chart says is under this metered range, don't lead your shots because you're going to miss. All right. So with the Striker 9, I could up to 30 meters just not lead my shots, just make sure I'm aiming directly on them, and I should hit my shots given that I aim only on them and I don't try and lead it. For the MCW sniper support build, that one I have to at 19 meters start leading my shots, 19.2 meters. Okay, so here we're going to get down to the algorithm. How does this thing work? What is going on? What is this AI business that you guys are performing? What is this wizardry? Okay, so I'm going to show the advanced stats here so we can see a little bit more about what's happening. So whenever we score a gun, it goes through about 3,800 different calculations. And it's not just like, hey, is the sprint to fire good? Is the TTK good? Is the ADS time good? We factor in, we do factor in those things, but we factor in things like synergies, like how do certain weapon mechanics work together? For example, if the damage per mag is really low on a weapon and the fire rate is really high, then the reload time is going to matter a whole lot more because you're going to be reloading more frequently. If the fire rate is low, then the recoil matters more because if you miss a shot, it's going to be more detrimental to that time to kill, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of different synergies in how these things work. And we also have to test how the weapon is working and operating in many different situations. So we check the TTK at, if it's a long range weapon, it could be 20 meters, 30 meters, 40 meters, these different ranges, weighing them to where they're most important. For close range, it could be 5 meters, 10 meters, and 15 meters, how the weapon is operating and working in these different situations. It runs, like I said, 3,800 calculations on the weapon to help spit out a score. So when we're building these weapons with GGs, it's not entirely that an AI is just processing all the data. It's saying, we make the builds, we see what score it's spitting out, and we make iterative improvements to make the weapon better and better and better and better. Say, hey, what's causing this to not be as good, and so on and so forth. It's a little challenging because we always face a lot of pressure from the communities where they're like, well, that's not what my favorite creator is running, so it just can't be right. So, we make some concessions to provide builds that people are actually running more rather than always the best builds, because the trust goes out the window. And as we build trust, we'll add more builds and so on and so forth, to make sure that we have the full, arrangement of weapons. But it's a little bit challenging because people always want like the build that their favorite creator is running, or the one that they're seeing, on Twitter or TikTok or wherever. And they want to see how it's scored. And we only have so much time. And every time that there's an update, we have to check 500 different builds, and we have to sometimes reshoot the accuracies for all these different builds. We have to do a whole lot of work to make sure it gets live. So we've currently been sticking to this method, but we will soon be expanding our Rolodex of weaponry. So in this, you can kind of see how the weapon is scored under these different stats, kind of giving you a better idea of if the weapon is any good or not and why it scored the way that it did. And you can even see a few of these synergies right here. You can see, long range synergies, the versatility synergies, the fire rate and recoil synergies. You can see all these different synergies and see how they scored and why, to give you a better understanding of why the weapon worked the way that it did. Now, if you are trying to find the best weapon for you, obviously everything is going to be really subjective, meaning that what is important for you might not be important for everybody else. For you, you might be saying, I want a weapon with really low recoil. I want to make a hip fire build. So what's got the best hip fire? All right, Is this Striker 9? This Striker 9 build apparently has the best hipfire. Or this WSP 9. Oh, this is a hipfire build. That makes sense. Oh, and this is a hipfire build. See? Got it. We're square. So, you know, use the website to your advantage. You know, if you are an aggressive player, score it by aggressive. You know, use those weights. You know, if you only care about TTK, go based off the expected. Go based off of the TTK on paper. Whatever is ideal for you. You know, whatever makes sense for you. We built all these tools for you to help you improve, to help you make the best possible decisions, or dropping into Warzone with a weapon that is reliably great. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Shoot us a message on Twitter, X, drop a comment. You know, we're happy to answer any questions and be as useful as we possibly can. And we look forward to you getting good.